Good morning. This is Jessie Cannon-Wallace, salesperson at Mercedes-Benz of Atlanta Northeast, and we are going to take the new 2023 Mercedes EQS 580 SUV for a test drive. And here we go. All right, so this particular vehicle that we're in is selenite gray with the Neva gray and sable brown interior. You can see it has this stunning steering wheel, and yes, it's a little scary. We make sure our hands are clean before we get in. All right. It accelerates. That's the number one thing people are excited about with the electric car. The torque is on demand and available immediately and just amazing. This is a big, heavy car. It's got 1,200 pounds of batteries under my feet, and it takes off like an AMG would. All right, we'll come to a stop here. I'm going to engage hold braking. So with the Mercedes EQ models, you are getting pretty much everything you're familiar with from a Mercedes-Benz sedan. Yes, we have a start-stop button here. It's down here in the 580 because of the Hyperscreen. It would normally be here in a 450. We've got similar steering wheel controls. We have similar MBUX controls up here via the touch screen or the touch steering wheel. We've got the Hey Mercedes functionality where we can speak to the car as well. But all of it is very, very similar to what you're used to from a Mercedes-Benz passenger car. And that's what they were going for. We didn't want to reinvent the wheel. We didn't want you to have to learn an entirely new driving interface. All right. So, recuperative or regenerative braking. We're currently in normal mode right here, which is my preferred mode. But you can go plus, which takes you to no recuperation, minus, which takes us to strong recuperation, which is also known as one-foot driving. So when you take your foot off the gas pedal, the car immediately goes to regeneration and kind of uses engine braking to slow down the car. And then if you press and hold a paddle, it'll take you to intelligent recuperation, and then the car makes decisions about what the best level is. Again, I am more of a regular. I don't love the super high levels of recuperation. On the displays here, you can see this is a normal instrument cluster display, but there are a million different things we can put on this screen. I think the off-road display is absolutely beautiful. The colors and the graphics are phenomenal, but I can't imagine a reason to use it. I think the assistance menu is phenomenal. It can see the vehicle in front of me. It can see the lane lines. It can see the vehicle in front of me. And then if I turn on and engage my cruise control, it will immediately, start following the car in front of me. The lane tracking watches the lane lines. The steering assist can see the car in front of me. It is a driver assistance system. It is not self-driving, but it does an amazing job keeping you centered and keeping your speed and keeping your distance when you need it to. This screen here, the center screen, is the Hyperscreen in this case, so it is the larger display. In the 450, it looks more like it does in the S-Class with the more vertical display. So we can choose any of these menus here. For example, the comfort menu. We can go to the ambient lighting. It is currently set to blue, obviously. There are all sorts of different moods we can select. We'll make it red for a moment, back to home. So it's a pretty easy interface to work with. This is called Zero Layer, so that I can see my map on the main screen, and then the things I might use commonly, my EQ menu, my audio system, my phone, are all right here. Right there is where I can immediately pull up all the nearby charging stations. We have 2 years of free charging with Electrify America, so that would be my most common go-to. And notice this has 2 arrows on it. I don't know if you can actually see that, but that means it's a level 3 charging station, fast charging. And then I also have Android Auto hooked up in this car. It is connected to my phone. So you can see this is Google Maps, and if I go to the home menu, you can see all the apps that I can access from my phone in the car. So say I wanted to use Waze or listen to podcasts, Pandora, that's my library app, so I can listen to audiobooks. All of that's very well integrated into the screen, and you can see I can swap back and forth. So you might want to use the cars menu to find your charging station while still listening to something from your phone. All right, we're going to make this right-hand turn, and I don't know what that's going to do to the light in this car. I tried to pick a cloudy day, but of course today's the first sunny day since threat of hurricanes. All right, let me speak more to the driving characteristics of this vehicle. So the EQS is larger than a GLE and smaller than a GLS, but certain things are bigger than a GLS. So I have more shoulder room, more headroom, more knee room in the EQS than I do in the GLS. So for a driver and front passenger, this car is hugely spacious. I'm gonna put down my sun visor. It feels big in here. And then the silence, of course, is an amazing thing. It does have modes for that. Settings, vehicle, sound experience. You can see I have that turned on, silver waves and vivid flux. So it gives you a little bit of audible feedback when you're braking and accelerating so that you get something, because otherwise it is just a silent cocoon. I think the brake pedal in this feels better than in the EQS sedan. If you've driven that car, it's got a little bit of a space between when you push on it and when it kicks in. Just a electric car thing. But this one feels a little more traditional to me. Okay. I have driven this car maybe 100 miles personally, and it's currently my favorite. Like, if you have the option to buy an electric vehicle, I think this is the best one you can get right now. The back seat is incredibly roomy, great brakes, unpredictable driving experiences, of course. The back seat is super roomy. The third row is, of course, very small if you get one with a third row, but it is an option. Just the acceleration is so smooth and so linear and just wonderful. You do have dynamic modes as well. That's down here. I can switch to sport mode. You can see it changes the engine, the suspension, the steering, the ESP, and the sound functionality of the car. I drove this vehicle at night. It does have the intelligent LED system, so it does a little dance party when you wake it up, but also when you're using the driver assist system and put on your turn signal, it puts an arrow on the road to show you where you're going. It's just really cool. It deserves its spaceship nickname. All right, so we are on the highway, and we are going to accelerate. The speed limit on this section of road is 70 miles an hour, even though it displays 45. The car is not always right. Okay, nice and smooth, maximum spaceship. This section of the Hyperscreen over here is only active when there is a front seat passenger, and essentially it is a control panel for the passenger to be the very best co-pilot. They can do their own thing. They can listen to different music, they can put on their own displays, but whatever they do over there, they can also transfer to here. So if they put on a navigation destination or launched something on this screen, you can then move it over here so they can control both things essentially. All right, again, I am going the speed limit, so I'm going to slow down a little. There's no one behind me. All right, and I am going to accelerate from 50 to 70 now. And we did it. I mean, that's how quick this car is for a giant SUV. It just should not be that fast. And it is a true luxury experience. If you have looked at some of the other vehicles in the market, you don't get this level of fit and finish. You don't get this level of beauty. This is the key, in case you were wondering. Cup holders, wireless charging, USB-C ports here, and of course more in the back. In my experience so far, the customers purchasing this vehicle either have multiple Mercedes in the household or have a Mercedes and a Tesla. We have a lot of people converting to a 2 Mercedes household now with our electric options. Some things they've had to relearn: the start-stop button. It does have a different charging port than a Tesla does. I've also found out many of these customers have another electric vehicle on order, a Lucid, a Rivian, whatever, but have no ETA and no idea when they might get that car. So they've gone with, you know, a brand that they trust and count on, and hopefully a salesperson who knows what they're doing, and have opted to go with an EQ model. This is a very long light. I'm going to put on my hold braking again. Something you want to consider when you're doing settings in this vehicle: assistance, Distronic. Adopt speed limit is my absolute least favorite. Here in Atlanta, for example, 285, the ring road, the speed limit is usually 55, and if you happen to have your cruise control set higher than that and it sees a speed limit sign, it adopts that 55, and suddenly you're going 20 or 30 miles an hour slower than everyone else on the road. Do not love. I can see the safety benefits of it, and certainly in other markets, different highways act differently. But just something to consider if you ever do experience the Distronic suddenly slowing you down, it's adopt speed limit. All right, we are back at the dealership. That's my long test drive route, so this is a long video. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe we'll do a test drive in one of the other EQ models soon. There we go. All right. We'll pull right up here. This car, by the way, currently has 77% charge and shows 217 miles still empty. It's rated for about 300, but of course that's going to depend on how you drive. In our experience, the EQs have been doing better in town and average on the highway. Thank you for test driving. Hope you enjoyed it. Please do let me know if you are in the market for an EQ or any other Mercedes-Benz vehicle.